everybody, welcome back to Ace Run Disc Golf. Today it is just half of your team. I'm Serena if you are new here. Normally it is Charles and I, but today you just get me because I am filming an in the bag. So I wanted to kind of talk through some of the discs that I started with / have been loving, new discs I'm exploring, discs that are good for like beginner to intermediate ladies. And I also want to talk a little bit about my bag. So I've got three main piles here. First, like my actual bag, what is always in there. Second, my kind of on the cusp discs that I'm trying out, things or like extras that I have. And then I also have just some fun extras that Charles and I have that go in and out of the bag situationally. And some dye job fails to show you as well. So we're gonna hop right in. First things first, my bag. This is my favorite disc golf thing. This is a nutsack. I do have a bit of a problem with nutsack as a brand because they're marketed as a men's only bag, but let me tell you, I've seen way more ladies carrying this around, okay? This is a great disc golf bag. So I can fit between like 6 to 8 discs depending on what I got in here. Currently I have 7. And I also have my lovely, disgusting disc craft towel on here that gets a lot of love, especially in the winter time. Okay, so because this is such a small bag, I don't really order them in any particular way in here, except for that I like to keep 2 either drivers or thin discs up front. But to start, we're gonna go from slow to fast to kind of talk through it. So we're gonna start with putters. I carry 2 different types of putters. I have a Discraft Jawbreaker Focus. This, you can tell, is very well loved. It's honestly probably time for me to move to my other one because I've beat the crap out of this one, which you guys have seen if you've seen me putt in any of our other videos. But funny story, I actually used to only putt, like actually putt with this Rhino, and then we went to a disc golf store to look for another putter option. I wasn't loving putting with this, obviously, because it's really an approach disc, and I got made fun of by the salesman for putting with this, so that pretty much sold me on getting a new putter. So now I use the Jawbreakers for actual putts and like shortish approaches, and then longer approaches I will use the Rhino. But I really like this Rhino. This is like one of the first discs I think that I actually got comfortable throwing because it's pretty easy to use, so it's just one of those things that's very reliable for me. Next, I have 2 mid-ranges that are in my bag. These are new additions, but I really like both of them. So the first one is from Dynamic Discs. This is their Truth. This one is actually really cool. Charles got this for me as a present, and it's a misprint, but like I think they should print all their Truths like this. How cool is it? It's like a double foil stamp. This has a very like neutral flying mid-range. I feel like it's very reliable for me. I can put a good amount of power on this, which I like, but I know that it's almost always going to finish left for me. So that's really good. And then this is an M4 from Prodigy. This is the only Prodigy disc I have, I think. But I am loving this disc. I would say this flies a lot straighter than my Truth. I can get it to go right if I really crank on it, but I can still put power on this without it just flipping over. So these 2 mid-ranges are new additions to my bag, but they have been so handy this year. I feel like they've helped me kind of get to that next level. Okay, let's talk. I've had both of these T-Birds forever. Right now I only have my Metal Flake in my bag, but that's just for space reasons. I like both the Champion and the Metal Flake. To me, these fly incredibly similar, but these are just discs that I know what they're going to do no matter what. They're going to fly mostly straight. They will almost always finish left, and especially the Metal Flake, I can throw this as hard as I want, and it's going to do that. They are kind of hefty. Like, you have to, I don't find that I can just like nicely throw this up the fairway. Like if I wanted to do that, I would have to pull out my mid-range. These I find now I'm actually like using when I want to put power on a throw, but very handy to have in my bag. And then right now I only have 2 distance drivers in my bag, but I feel like I finally got to a place where I have 2 discs that do different things and I like what both of them do. So first, I have a Champion Valkyrie. This is a Frisbee that has had a very long life. It was not mine originally, but it's found a new home in my bag. This thing for me goes very straight, very flat, and very far, and it's pretty quick. And I have not yet flipped this over, which is really good. It finishes pretty much dead straight for me, and it's taken me forever to find a disc that I can do that with. So this is kind of my favorite thing in my bag right now because it's new and it's doing what I want it to do. All right, so this is the last disc that is currently in my bag. These are also sort of a new discovery for me. This is a Star Destroyer. I'm not gonna lie, when I started playing disc golf, which this is kind of a sad thought, but I just assumed like I couldn't throw destroyers. They were too thick for me. It was a boy disc, which that's stupid, ladies. If you want to throw a destroyer, you throw a destroyer. I really like this as my driver. I was throwing Sheriffs, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but this destroyer is a little bit lighter and I found it to be my favorite distance driver. It's very reliable for me and I know that it is going to go far and it is going to end a little bit left. So this is more of a low weight destroyer. It weighs 162, but I really, really like it. One thing that kind of changed my bag this year is I stopped putting only max weight discs in my bag. I have no idea why I had all max weight discs in my bag, but I did. And honestly, it was making me get tired of playing disc golf because it was so much freaking work to throw a disc. So now I've kind of gotten rid of that. I have a lot more variety in my bag and I'm very happy with where I am. I think this is the most versatile bag I've had in like the 4 or 5 years I've been playing. So this is kind of a good time to be filming in the bag because I feel like this is kind of the peak of my bag right now. And it'll be good to look back on in the future as well. Okay, so that was everything that is currently in my bag that I always carry with me. This stack of discs is like the discs that are on the fringe. I love most of these. Some of them are a little new to me and some of them are just repeats. So like I mentioned, that orange Champion T-Bird, that's not technically in my bag right now. It should be with this stack, but I just talked about it with this. Let's do the same thing. I'll go slow to fast here again. Like I mentioned, I have an extra jawbreaker. First off, this focus is just real pretty. And it's probably time to move this one into the bag because my other one is very, very beat up. This is, I feel like it's a pretty soft plastic and it gets beat up quite quickly if you're not good at putting like me. This, I mean, look at how beautiful this disc is. I just explained my love of rhinos, and then Charles found this beautiful stamp from Infinite Discs for me. So honestly, I don't even know if I can ever throw this disc because I don't want anything to happen to it. Comment down below if you have those discs in your collection that they just like mean too much to you or they're too pretty and you don't want to hurt them, because this I just feel like is a display disc, you know? The next disc in this stack, this is a really, really cool disc, kind of unique to the other ones, and I wish I had a spot for it in my bag, but I just don't right now. This is the Convict. This is a fairway driver, but it's quite fast. This one, I need to find the weight. Okay, this is 174 grams, so it's fairly thick, and I don't have it in my bag because it is a little heavy. Like, I feel like I really have to crank on this, and for me it's a little easier to just pull out a T-Bird, but I do really like this Convict. I really went on a dynamic disc kick for a while. Like I mentioned when I was talking about the Destroyer, I pretty much fell in love with Sheriffs because like 3 years ago, Charles found the most crappy beat up Sheriff in the world and was like, you should try throwing this. So I did, and it pretty much changed how I throw drivers. I feel like I learned how to throw a high-speed driver with that, so then I was like, okay, well, I'll just throw Sheriffs for the rest of my life. So I have these 2 Sheriffs. This is kind of, oh, I should mention, I then proceeded to lose that Frisbee in very heartbreaking fashion. Shouldn't have been lost. I have no idea where it is. We lost it on our favorite course, so I have to walk by the spot that I lost that Frisbee every time we play. But this white one was sort of my replacement for that, and I really like this one. But again, this is sort of the type of Frisbee that I like, but it's on the heavy side. And this is kind of where I started to say I'm going to get some lighter weight discs. And I think it's time for me to get a Sheriff that's slightly lighter weight, because I'd love to get back to throwing these. So this Sheriff I really like. It needs to be a little more beat in to fly like the other one I lost, but it's a good one. This Metal Flake Sheriff I got because it's absolutely gorgeous. This disc right here, I credit our Ice Bowl championship to this Frisbee. I've never thrown a Frisbee better in my life than this disc. It was almost a year ago. It was a year ago today that we're filming this video that Charles and I played in an Ice Bowl and we won the doubles division. And this Frisbee was just so consistent for me. I could throw it as hard as I wanted to, and it was going the distance that I needed it to. It was always finishing left, and just this plastic as well was really nice for like the wet, cold, awful conditions that we were playing in. So this is like my very trusty Frisbee, but I don't need it necessarily for our home course, so that's why it's not in the bag. And then the last disc in the fringe stack, if you guys have not watched our unboxing video, you should. I will leave it in the cards right here so you can check it out after this. This is a Champion Glow Shrike, I believe. And this is new to me, but this disc has already done some magical things for me, so I am very excited to see what else I can do with it. I really got to play with this right before it got cold, only like a couple rounds, and this thing is fast. So I am very, very excited to throw this a little bit more. One more stack of Frisbees, and these are kind of the ones that I was mentioning to you guys, like the sentimental Frisbees or like some of the fun Frisbees, but I wanted to share them because why not, you know? So first things first, we have a couple dye job fails. First off, this one, this is horrible, and also if you're dyeing things, you're dyeing letters, you have to do it backwards because they're mirrored, and I didn't do that correctly the first time. Anyway, this one, this was my first attempt at using a stencil, and it kind of worked, and then Charles added this interesting fringe effect. So we've really been enjoying experimenting dyeing Frisbees, and if you guys want to see a video of us doing that and just like messing around, trying some new techniques, let us know in the comments because we definitely will, but clearly we have some work to do. Let's see. This Sheriff, like I said, I really went on a Sheriff phase, and then this, I think I actually audibly gasped when I walked into the store and I saw this one. I mean, it's so stinking beautiful. And then actually we got this on one of our trips together. So one thing Charles and I like to try and do, which hasn't been happening this year, but if we go anywhere on vacation together, we'd like to get discs to remember it by. So this is my Kansas City disc. Charles does not have his because he threw it into a tree. So when he does his in the bag, you guys won't see his Kansas City disc. Another kind of sentimental disc. Also, this one's just really cool. So this is a West Side Catapult. I haven't thrown this thing in years. It used to be way too thick. I could probably throw it now, but I'm scared to throw it because this is something that we got on a trip to Omaha, and we actually got this out of a disc golf vending machine. So it was literally out on the disc golf course, and it was just a vending machine, and there was a bajillion discs in there, and you know, you just use it like a normal vending machine. But since then, that vending machine has been removed from the course. I don't know if any other courses have them, but it was like the coolest thing we've ever seen on a course. So I want to keep this safe because I want to remember that day. Another fun one, this is a Discraft drone. This is the disc that came in the little pack for getting tickets to Worlds when it was hosted in our hometown. So this is a very stable disc. Charles actually has an ace with this disc, so it's even more special. But yeah, we don't really throw it, but it's an ace disc, so that's impressive. All right, and speaking of our Ice Bowl dub, this is the disc that we got last year just in the like player pack. This is an ABR. It's just, you know, your basic putter, but the stamp is like really, really cool. This Mako, okay, this is in our stack. I had such a love-hate relationship with this stinking disc for the last 3 years. It treated me very well, and it also was so unkind to me. There was really no in between. I couldn't quite figure this out, but it was in my bag for a very long time, and I finally just moved it out once Charles gave me the 2 new mid-ranges. And then the final disc of the day, you guys have to let me know if you have tried anything from Castoplast, because their discs are just very unique. This is a Berg putter, and it's a, first off, she's thick. It's also just like a very unique plastic. It's translucent, but it's almost like a jelly plastic. But this is a very stable putt and approach disc. It's kind of, if I were to use this actually was in my bag for a while. I would use it for similar things to like what I use the Rhino for, but this is even more stable and more slow. So it's just a very situational disc, and I feel like both Charles and I have had it come in handy, but it's not something that I can necessarily always make room for because, I mean, this thing, like, in the nutsack, it actually takes up, like, half of my bag, but it's also just a really cool disc, so. All right, you guys, that is all the Frisbees I had to show you today. Let me know if you throw any of these discs as well, or if there's any of the discs that I throw that you just like can't stand, you know, let me know. Let me know what you think about the discs in my bag. And let us know if you want to see Charles's in the bag. He's gonna film it, whether you want to see it or not. And yeah, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with me and chatting about disc golf, and we will see you again very soon.